Good morning, good afternoon, good evening around the world. My name is Doug Brunke. I'm the founder and CEO of Global Chamber. Most of our day is chock full of activity around business. Our members are enlightened business leaders who are growing their business around the world. We typically spend our days creating warm introductions for them, building our database so that we can make more warm introductions and helping them grow anywhere they want to grow around the world, including supporting them with different resources to be able to do that above and beyond the clients. We also believe that as we're doing business and living our lives, that there are things that we can do to have an impact in our community. One of the ways we do that is through Women in Global Leadership, a signature event since the beginning of Global Chamber. Another way is encouraging diversity, not just in the States, but all around the world, so that companies appreciate the value of diversity and use it to their advantage. We also believe in young global leaders. Many of us who are a little bit on the older side didn't necessarily have mentors in our international activities. And so we could have used those. And so we now that we've gotten to the point where we also recognize that young global leaders have really great capabilities around technology and want to have an impact in the world. So we get young global leaders together with more experienced people to create an impact. And so all of those kind of meld together to supplement what we're doing today, which is the virtual league of global nonprofits. Above and beyond business, there are ways to impact on the nonprofit side as well. So we have, it looks like 5 companies teed up and then several others that are also going to be commenting today. So we have over a half a dozen, we'll hear from over a half a dozen nonprofits. I ask all of you to work on keeping your presentation to 5 to 7 minutes. And for each one, we should be able to have a few minutes for a question or two. And then I encourage all of you to put your information in the chat area, both the people who are speaking and anybody who is attending as well. And also feel free to put your questions in the chat area as well. That also helps us. We can ask the questions directly. If I open up the room for questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question as well. So our first speaker today is Ruth Sanchez. She's Project C.U.R.E. Project C.U.R.E. was one of our first members of Global Chamber. Probably within the first 20 organizations that joined Global Chamber, and that's partially because they're based not just in Denver, where their CEO and founder is, but also they have hubs around the country. They've been growing those, but Phoenix has been a hub for quite a while. So Ruth Sanchez has been actually now in quite a while as the head of the Phoenix hub, where they end up being the #1 organization for sending medical supplies by container to countries around the world, 138 countries, including most recently, lots of attention for Ukraine. So Ruth, thank you for all that you do. Tell us a little bit more about Project C.U.R.E. and how we can help.
Oh, thank you, Doug. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for that introduction. We are been around since 1987. We ship over 200 40-foot containers of medical equipment and supplies. And recently, in the last 7 weeks, have been very focused on sending shipments of disaster relief, medical equipment and supplies, and also air freighting them with pallets to the regions of Moldova, Romania, and Poland. And we're also working with the military on the with the Ukraine military to, when we get to the border, we do have them to unload it, and then we have partners that are getting many of the supplies, not only at the refugee level, but also inside the country. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, and I do have a 2-minute video, and then I'll provide some other updates. So Cesar, if you can show that video.
These are busy days for people like Kathy Elder, a volunteer with Project C.U.R.E., the world's largest distributor of donated medical equipment and supplies to 138 resource-limited countries. like Ukraine.
These were friends, and these are people that we know, and these are hospitals that we've been in, and we're familiar with these things. We were shipping anyway, and all of a sudden, I mean, it just blew up.
The need for help, CEO Doug Jackson says, has ballooned in Ukraine. Since 1984, it shipped in mostly non-emergency supplies until this crisis.
Now it's wound care, it's tourniquets, it's analgesics, it's the things that they need to just take care of people who are shot and maimed, and just the horrible things about war.
We're not sending ultrasound units to Ukraine. It's more trauma, it's more immediate emergency relief situation.
Dave Maddox is Project C.U.R.E.'s Special Projects Manager.
No one needs a portable x-ray machine. You know, they need things that can save a life today.
A host of global medical relief efforts for Ukraine are underway right now. The World Health Organization has set up this warehouse outside the city of Lviv. Field hospitals are being set up in Ukrainian parking lots. Donations of cash and equipment are flooding in to help meet the needs. 18 months ago, one medical equipment manufacturer donated 22,000 of these emergency relief beds when there was a real demand for field triage units during the pandemic. Some of those beds are now headed to Ukraine.
I mean, we could literally put the equipment on a single container to have a hospital for 100 people.
Project C.U.R.E. has had to overcome supply chain issues to move those containers by plane and truck from its 7 U.S. warehouses into Ukraine along safer, ever-changing routes called green zones. The bombing of medical facilities like this one in Mariupol has made this mission even more personal for Jackson.
I can't imagine who would bomb a hospital, and especially a women's hospital. This is just pure inhumanity. I mean, for anybody to look at that and to say, we're going to kill moms and babies in the name of what?
He expects this to be a long-term relief effort.
I told my staff the other day, I hope that you all stay for the next 10 years. 10 years from now, we're still going to be in Ukraine.
Project C.U.R.E.'s very first delivery to Ukraine was a medical library 38 years ago. Its objective there is very different today. An organization that aims to deliver health and hope to the world is responding to a country in desperate need of both.
However we are able to assist in that situation, Project C.U.R.E. is going to be there.
Henrik Sabrandi, CGTN, Centennial, Colorado.
I do have a few updates, and so if I have to read, it's because this week we held our ambassador program last night. So if you don't mind, I am going to share the latest updates. From the start of the invasion, we have sent 13 emergency relief air shipments of medical supplies and equipment to our partners in Ukraine, with over 200 pallets of relief being delivered. In addition, another 500 plus pallets of equipment and supplies are currently prepared for additional scheduled of shipments leaving from Chicago, Phoenix, Denver, Houston, and Kansas City. We have procured hundreds of pallets of donations. However, we also had to go and purchase the tourniquets, blood clotting supplies, specialized needle sets, and other supplies that are designed to be used in a trauma and emergency areas that need that. So we are working with partners from Canada Air, Virgin Air, United, and others. And so we're working right now with Maersk to airlift another 747 400 load of medical equipment. A third large container plane is planned to provide 1,500 emergency beds to Poland to be used in refugee camps. And so yeah, it's been nonstop. Logistics have been up in Denver, have been working 24/7 to meet the need. And like you all heard, our CEO, Doug Jackson, shared with us 7 weeks ago, we're going to be in Ukraine for many, many years. And on top of that, we send another 200 shipments all over the world. So we're meeting the world health needs, and we do need support of partners who can help, you know, make donations of supplies, equipment. We're always needing funding because we have to buy some of these supplies. Donations of tourniquets just won't happen here in the United States. And volunteers to come in lately we've had an overwhelming support of local companies that are coming in as groups and saying, let us help. And so that is what I wanted to share with you today. And Doug and Cesar, thank you so much for letting us share this very critical project that we're doing to really address what's happening in the world.
Normally, Project C.U.R.E is shipping container loads of medical supplies to places around the world. And largely you have donations coming in from companies and from people, and you get them together, you put them in containers, and then you ship them out. I remember once you mentioned about a container, you talked about logistics challenges. You shipped a container to Myanmar through somewhere. I forget which city it went through, but it was $30,000 or $35,000 just to get it from point A to Myanmar through not just the ocean shipment, but on the ground trucking as well. So logistics is not trivial, is it?
No, it's not. And that was for Bangladesh. And I did get in connection with the general of the Bangladesh Army, General Sadique. And he said, we will do whatever it takes to get that container to where it needs to be located. Our Army will do that. And that exactly happened.
Amazing. So undoubtedly that logistics experience that you've had over these years is helping with Ukraine, right? Because you've got it, you mentioned through Poland, through Romania, you've got an actual setup in Lviv. Is there
We do. And you saw the warehouse. So we have many, many partners that are helping us get these items, equipment inside the country. But there's pictures on our blog, and we had to blur everyone's face because it is a confidential. We have to be very sensitive to our partners who could be in danger.
Sure. If they're going to bomb a hospital with women and babies, they're going to bomb a warehouse like what you guys are doing. So where should people go if they have ideas or thoughts or want to help in some way?
Yes, well, you can always go to our website. It's projectcure.org. And I am available. It's Ruth Sanchez at projectcure.org. I've been getting calls from all over the world, and I have partners that are doing projects from, many countries who wanted, they're nonprofits who are saying, can we help? And so reach out to me. I am taking many calls, personalized calls of my son's in the Army. And if I don't hear from him, I'm worried. Somebody from Sister Cities came in, this gentleman, and he said, my nephew was killed in a battle. And so it's a lot to take on, but that's what we're here to do. It's something that is near and dear to my heart, to help those that are in great need and danger. So Project C.U.R.E, Ruth Sanchez at projectcure.org.
Undoubtedly creating a lot of stress, not just in Ukraine, but for your entire organization. You can clearly tell that you guys are dedicated to do the right thing. We have time, I think, for one question. Is there anybody that has a question for Ruth? I didn't see any questions in the chat area. I did see Maria Jesus Cervantes of Chicanos por la Causa. Thank you, Maria, for joining us today as well. A fellow Global Chamber Advisory Board member of Global Chamber Phoenix. Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for all that you do.
Of course.
As we're talking about nonprofits that are having an impact in Ukraine. And so let's go to Global Chamber London and talk to Stephen Barber from ChildAid Eastern Europe. Relatively new member of Global Chamber, our Katie Keith, our Global Chamber Executive Director in London. Stephen has been in touch with you, has really been impressed by the work that you're doing. I wonder if you could introduce yourself to our global community and tell us more about how we could help. Stephen, are you there? We can't hear you. Let's see. I thought I saw him.
I saw him earlier, but I don't see him in the list now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw him earlier as well. So I was very optimistic. So maybe he's got a Wi-Fi issue. So we'll work through that. And Cesar, could you let me know, or I'll also try to pay attention to see if we can get him back for sure. So we're in. We'll shift over to other activities, and there's some really great activities that are the global nonprofits that are speaking today. And one particular to my heart is one that's very close by, again, Phoenix, Arizona, and that's the I Got This Foundation. I don't know how many of you have seen Amy Bacher-Steady and the extraordinary video that she did on the 16th hole of Waste Management Open, the Phoenix Open, with Gary Woodland, and it broke all the internet records for any golf videos. Definitely search for Amy Bacher-Steady video on YouTube and watch that, because it's heartwarming and it's spectacular, and it's really goes to determination. You know, all of us have things that we're overcoming. Amy's got a few more things to overcome, and she's exceeded all expectations probably of everybody else except her parents. You know, Joe Bacher-Steady is an extraordinary leader in and of itself with BEM, business enterprise mapping. He's an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, and he happens to have just the most extraordinary daughter in the world, Amy Bacher-Steady, and together they founded I Got This Foundation. Joe and Amy, congratulations on your progress and your success and your encouragement of others to be as amazing as you two.
Hi, Doug. This is Amy. Say hi.
Hiya.
Hello, everybody. So let me give you a quick intro to Amy. I'm going to show the video. It's only 2.5 minutes, so it'll go quick, and then I'll give you a quick update about I Got This Foundation. So Amy is a 23-year-old college student. She has Down syndrome, and she's a very accomplished golfer. She was the first person with Down syndrome to play in the Arizona High School State Championship in golf, well, in all sports, but golf. She's the first person with Down syndrome to receive an athletic scholarship to attend college. She's played golf 4 years at the Paradise Valley Community College here in Phoenix. She was the first person to participate in a national championship last year when her team went to the NJCAA championship tournament in Daytona Beach. She's on the President's Council for Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. And she was just named one of the 48 most intriguing women of Arizona, which will be awarded at a luncheon and a coffee table book in about 2 weeks. So that's the quick intro. In 2019, Amy was invited to play a hole with professional golfer Gary Woodland at the Waste Management Phoenix Open here. I'm going to share my screen and play the video from that event, and then I'll give you a quick intro into the I Got This Foundation.
That's him. That's him. Yeah. What's he doing?
How are you? Are you Amy?
Yes.
Give me a hug. I'm Gary. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I hear you're a good golfer.
Yes.
You are? You want
Yeah.
to come with a hole with us?
Yes.
Come on, let's go. Hi, I'm Matt. What's your name? Amy. This is John.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I hear you're a heck of a player.
Yes.
Awesome. You want to hit a shot?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Oh. Yeah.
You want your golf shoes? We got your clubs right here.
Big focus, all right?
They love me.
I know about that.
Here you go. Ball? Nice to meet you. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You need a tee?
All right.
See the flag right in the middle?
Yes.
You got this, kiddo.
Yeah, I got this.
Nice. Give me a 5.
So cool. They love me. Awesome. Awesome.
You like all these people?
Yeah.
You want to hit it out?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Let's do it.
I got this.
I love it.
You can do this. You can do this.
Nice. That is awesome. That is awesome. Let's go. Let's go putt. We're gonna make
Okay,
this.
yeah.
That is so good.
Thank you.
That was fantastic.
Thank you. That's amazing.
What do you think? Going a little left?
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and make that?
Okay. I got this.
You got it?
Yeah.
Let's do it. That is so awesome.
Yes.
You are so awesome.
Thank you.
That is so good. Wow, it's so cool.
Incredible. Thank you.
Wave.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. You are so good.
Thank you.
Amy, it was awesome to meet you. You're an
nice to
inspiration to us, all right?
Okay.
You're our hero.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you. I'm so proud of you. You happy? Yes. Wow.
Okay, so that video happened in January of 19. It's been viewed something in the neighborhood of 55 million views at this point. So it was just put out. We found out the last couple of days it was just put out on TikTok about a week ago and picked up another 4 million views to people that I guess haven't seen it before. So out of that, our lives changed greatly, and we formed the I Got This Foundation. So why don't you talk about the I Got This Foundation, nice and loud.
Okay, so we start I Got This Foundation. My 21st birthday is to pay it forward. So we I Got This Golf Academy to teach people with disabilities to learn how to play golf.
And so we started the I Got This Golf Academy on Amy's 21st birthday later in 2019. The mission of I Got This is to grow the game of golf for people with intellectual disabilities. There's, as any of you who play golf know, golf is a wonderful sport for socialization, for inclusion, for beautiful venues, for outdoor activity. And by teaching people with Down syndrome and intellectual disabilities how to play golf, you're really opening up a whole new opportunity for them to participate in activities that were previously really unavailable to them. So our primary vehicle is what we call the I Got This Golf Academy. It's an 8-week academy providing instruction for people with intellectual disabilities. Teaches them how to play golf. We take them out on a course. We end the academy with a tournament with friends and families and our athletes. And our vision is to take that golf academy around the country. We are adding an executive director. So we're moving from an all volunteer organization to a new executive director, June 15th. She actually joins us from the ladies LPGA tour. So she has significant experience in the area and of course, many, many contacts. And so we're really looking forward to expanding the game of golf with people with intellectual disabilities to provide them other opportunities to participate in society, things that really weren't maybe previously considered. So I think we made 5 minutes, Doug.
Extraordinary. That was fantastic. How do people get involved? How do people help?
Yeah, go to the website, www.igotthis.foundation. And you'll see the activities. We've got an events calendar. Things are really ramping up now that the college golf career is just finished this week. We turn our focus to I Got This activities, and Amy is going to have a very, very busy summer.
How do you do it, Joe? You've got a company you're running. You're also, we saw you on the Today Show, and you're her. How do you manage your time?
Well, have laptop will travel, right? So this is definitely a blended life for me. I often joke that the business gets in the way of my personal life some days.
Well, thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it, and keep up the great work.
Thank you. Thank you all for giving us a few minutes.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let's now shift. I think Stephen Barber is back with ChildAid Eastern Europe. Stephen, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm on a different computer, different background. Internet went down.
Ah, okay. Sorry to hear that, but glad you could join us. We were mentioning earlier how you're a relatively new member with Global Chamber. Katie Keith has been so impressed by your work. Congratulations on that, and the work that you're doing in Ukraine is just so important. Could you tell us more what you're doing and how we can help?
Yeah, if I go to share screen, I can put up the PowerPoint, which actually pictures so often paint a better right. So here we are. ChildAid. Sadly, of course, it's Easter at the moment, isn't it? When we celebrate the murder of an innocent man by an occupying power, something which I think we're seeing too much of on the news at the moment. So let's see if I can come on, advance. All right, the charity goes back to 1973. We were a charity originally set out to work in Russia, where we've been squeezed out of by politics. We are a children's charity primarily, working with children and disabled children in Belarus, Moldova, and Ukraine. Most people in Europe certainly don't even know where Moldova or Belarus are, so they're making the news for all the wrong reasons. We exist solely to support, as I say, those children with disabilities, social orphans, and those living in sometimes truly desperate situations. There are children today in Europe, nothing to do with this war, who are so poor that their families don't have any clothes whatsoever to dress them in to actually send them to school. Belarus, which is to the north of Ukraine, we work with two groups there, but I'm not going to go into any of the details on that one today. So I'll go straight to Moldova, where we have three projects that we are directly involved in. The Esther House was a school program working in a very, very poor community as an after-school club. That effectively is still running now, but primarily it's now acting as a way station, providing care and help for the refugees fleeing the fighting in Ukraine. The main project in the capital itself is the Tony Hawk Center. This is not Tony Hawk's, the American skateboarder. This is a British comic who has been very instrumental in children's care out there. And that particular center now is certainly up and running, providing refugees with such basic essentials as nappies and slippers, warm clothing, clean underwear, hygiene-related items, and finding safe places for the refugees to go to. And then the other program that we have up and running actually is in Transnistria, which is a breakaway republic inside of Moldova. They're not seeing too many refugees crossing over at the moment because since the 1992 civil war in Moldova, the Russians left a large chunk of their 14th Army in place as peacekeepers. So the Ukrainians are doing their very best not to cross that particular border. So you can see from the map, they can get in very easily from the north and the south, just not from the eastern border itself. We also have a local charity that we work with out there called C.U.R.E, and they have a warehousing facility. Our priority at the moment right now is not to actually get things out there because we can buy a lot of what we need. And for us to ship from the UK using lorries, it's just got far too expensive because of the cost of diesel. A big program, however, is Ukraine, which is what I really want to talk about, where we have three major projects up and running. But the challenge, of course, that all of this conflict is being caused is because of borders. This is a quick map just to show you how much it's changed. Most of Poland used to be Germany. Most of Belarus used to be Poland. And Ukraine used to be a heck of a lot smaller, but the disputed areas with Russia are all very definitely, if you go back pre-revolution, nothing to do with Russia whatsoever. But in the north of the country, we've been working with an in-house charity called Love Without Borders. We've been working with them since 2014, when we were originally providing insulin to children living on the wrong side of the conflict line. Because there just wasn't any, and they were a charity that was able to smuggle the insulin in. we've developed with them. So one of the things we opened last year in the city of Makariv was a rehabilitation center. You can see a couple of the photographs there. This is in the basement of the church. Sadly, the moment the conflict started, it had to be redesignated an air raid shelter, being underground. For the first 10 days, that was brilliant. There was water, there was heat, there was light. But once the water got cut off, we had to arrange to evacuate the center. We don't even know if it's standing at the moment. That's how challenging everything is out there. The mayor reports that 40% of the city has been destroyed, and they're finding bodies everywhere. So maybe in the next few days, we'll learn a little bit more about whether or not the building is there, whether it's been ransacked. We have been working though with disabled children because that's our mandate. Most of them, as far as we can understand, are safe. Young girl at the moment coming down the ladder, initially went to Romania, she's now in Germany. The small child in arms, she's certainly also been able to get out. Other children, we had one with cancer, being able to evacuate them as far as Norway to continue. This was the separatist fighting. Most of you know what's going on in Ukraine, but even before this started, it was the 4th biggest displaced population in the world. So it is been a real challenge to us as a charity. Kamyansk, where we've got one of our major programs, which is, it's since 2014, they've been able to hear the artillery exchanges, they're that close. This center, we've had to close the center itself because of the fighting. The program continues. The children that they've been supporting, they go out and provide what is needed to them. But we're expecting, if this conflict continues, that the center will probably be ransacked or at least shelled. We've been helping in all sorts of ways, even just helping the refugees coming through, providing art and craft, things to try and create normality. What the bottom picture is actually our horse riding in the town centre, but the air raid sirens go off and the children have to be evacuated. It is a truly disheartening situation. Let's move right over to the other side of the country. So we're up against the Hungarian border. We have a foster home that we built and developed. This is also acting as a way station for the people coming through. It's a job it's well used to because it has been providing some assistance right the way back to 2015 in their particular case. The challenge for all of us as we sit here today is before this conflict started, children were being sold for $4 a time, the cost of a meal. We are desperately anxious as a charity involved in children's care to try and ensure that this barbaric trade is stopped. And this is part of the teaching that we've been doing out there to try and stop these poor children being placed into the hands of traffickers. We are a charity that works with others. We can't do it on our own. So these were just a few examples of charities that we work with. So yes, we are a funding charity in the UK. We have in-country partners that we finance. So we have a very small UK team and then nationals who have come to us and say, we want to set up projects, and we have then financed them. But everything is going way out of our comfort zones with size. What we're going to start to need to try and find is ways of building flat pack houses. I don't know whether you have them out there, but certainly companies like IKEA in Europe, part of their division does that, converting buses so that we can actually go into centres and provide care the moment the fighting stops, and then get onto infrastructure changes. But these are lessons we're going to have to learn very quickly ourselves, let alone finding the finances to support it. On a personal feeling, I think there is hope. I was looking at photographs of Monte Cassino, which was destroyed during the Second World War after 4 months of bombing. The pictures on the left, total destruction. Pictures on the right, what it is today. Place of pilgrimage, a working monastery, a place of hope. If we work together, we can turn Ukraine around once the fighting stops and bring some sort of normality. But as has already been said, this is going to take a long, long time. If you want to find out anything more, type ChildAid into your search engine, but do please add 2 E's after the word ChildAid, which stands for Eastern Europe. It will identify us from any other organizations that exist around the world with similar names.
Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate that. Great summary. And as you say, you think buildings can be rebuilt. However, lives, take sometimes generations to recover. And obviously, people who die, aren't able to move forward. So much work to do. Thank you for your good work. How do people get involved? Certainly, one way is to search. You're looking for donations. What else are you looking for?
Well, money today is the be all and end all for us because we can buy most of the product we need in Moldova. But tomorrow it's going to be practical aid. So I've been loving to listen to what people like Ruth are saying. I was in the children's hospital in the capital. I'm sure that's now run out of everything. And providing those sort of basic bits of aid into the support projects, the hospitals over in Kamiansk and Dnipro flattened. We are obviously a children's charity. We will, I think, be basically saying anybody who's got product that they can relate to children, we would love to talk to you.
Okay, very good. Thank you for sharing. And please, if you haven't yet, put your information in the chat area. Let's move on to the next speaker. Let's go to Stephen. Stephen, are you in Seattle today? And you're going to be talking about Heinrich Foundation. This is an organization that's been a longtime member of Global Chamber, a really important organization relative to more kind of our core activity, which is trade and encouraging trade across the world, particularly in Asia, but around the world. Larry, please let us know more about what you're doing and also how we can help.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I'm actually coming at you from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam now, where I relocated from Seattle earlier this year after a challenging visa and COVID infused process. So happy to be on the ground with my team. I'm going to share my screen. And I do want to say thank you to everyone who is from the groups, all the groups that have spoken so far, but particularly the folks that are helping out in Ukraine. My sister-in-law is a Bosnian Muslim woman who was awakened in the middle of the night by her mother when the Serbian army rolled into her town and was told, grab what means the most to you. And they spent about 6 months living in the mountains during that conflict until they could make it to Sarajevo, and met my brother doing aid work with World Vision. And 20 years later, 2 children later, they are married and still fighting the good fight through various means. So I really appreciate anybody who's reaching out to help people in need, as we're seeing now. Can everyone see my screen?
We cannot.
You cannot. Okay. Let me see what has happened here.
There we go. Now we got it.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Doug, thank you. We are the Heinrich Foundation. We are trying to make this world a better place through some different avenues by rewiring the way people think about global trade, approach global trade, and lead global trade efforts. We are an Asian-based philanthropy. Our mission is to advance mutually beneficial and sustainable global trade practices. I'll get into how we do that in a moment, but we are the vision of Mr. Merle Heinrich. Mr. Heinrich grew up very, very poor in the Midwest of the United States, the son of a farmer. He was able to attend university because of a scholarship he received from a stranger. Otherwise, he would not have been able to have access to higher education. He used his education to travel to Asia in the mid-60s and got involved with the facilitation of global trade, where he did very well for himself over 50 years facilitating mutually beneficial trade between nations. And what he witnessed over those 5 decades was that if trade was done well, which we define as equitable, ethical, and sustainable, it has the power to improve the lives of people across regions, nations, and this planet. That trade done well is the rising tide lifting all ships. There's economic opportunities, employment opportunities. It provides access to better healthcare, gender equality opportunities. And when trade is done poorly, well, we've all seen what happens. And some of it is directly and indirectly related to some of the conflicts that are going on in the world today. So Mr. Heinrich set out to try to change this. And he realized that sustainable trade is not intuitive. These are practices that needed to be taught and infused in leadership. And the way we talk about trade and the way we talk about businesses' bottom lines needed to change. We talk a lot in the organization about the triple bottom line. You know, it's not profit, it's profit, people, planet. It's a three-legged stool is the model that we use. And if any one of those legs doesn't exist, the stool collapses. So we approach this challenge through research and education. We want to build an ecosystem of trade influencers. And we do that in several ways. One of the primary ways we do this is sending self-selected, passionate trade people who want to be trade leaders. We want to empower them with the education they need to go out into the world and make it a better place by taking responsible approaches to trade. So here are some of the universities around the world where we send people. We are Asia focused, but we do open our scholarship opportunities globally. So we've actually had we have put about 250 people through various programs around the world, INSEAD in France and Singapore, University of Auckland of New Zealand, Hong Kong Baptist, London School of Economics, the Lee Kuan Yew School in Singapore, Georgetown, and Nanyang Technical University also in Singapore, focusing primarily on business, MBA programs, advanced education. We also support media and journalism studies because how people report on trade and explain why it's important, why it needs to be changed and evolved to people is as important as actually facilitating responsible trade. So we sponsor some journalism programs there. We send multiple students to each of these universities every year. And what we do is we collect all of these students who we send to the university become members of the Heinrich Foundation Alumni Association. And this is a lifelong connection we build with our scholars, providing lifelong education opportunities and networking opportunities, mentoring opportunities. And we proactively keep them connected with each other because we want these self-selected, like-minded, sustainability-minded leaders to continue to communicate with each other as they grow and develop through their careers so that they can reach out to one another wherever they are on the planet, ask each other for help, ask each other for advice, support each other, and through that, make sure that that tide keeps rising and lifting those ships. So the Alumni Association is really a cornerstone of our education program. And I should have said this in the beginning, it's about coming up at 11 o'clock at night here, so I apologize if I'm a little punchy, but I am the education program manager. So the education initiatives are my team's baby here in Vietnam. We're headquartered in Singapore. We run our education initiatives from the Ho Chi Minh City office. On the trade research and education material provision side, this is another part of what we do. Our trade research area is in Singapore. We produce articles and white papers on everything connected to global trade. And we make them available to people who can learn from them and benefit them for free on our website. We want people to share this knowledge. We have an amazing ability to, through Mr. Heinrich and his connections, to get some pretty heavy hitters to provide this research, do these get these white papers written. Steve Olson, who you see on the screen, was actually one of the architects of the original NAFTA agreement. He's now based out of Bangkok, where he teaches a trade negotiation simulation at universities around the region. He's one of our contributors, and I'm not going to go through all the names because we'll never keep it to 5 minutes. And as Doug and Cesar know, brevity is not my wheelhouse, so I'll try to keep this to the 5 minutes. But we work with people at think tanks, universities, leading businesses across sectors linked to the global supply chain, and we have them author these papers that, again, we make available for free to anyone who can benefit from them. In addition to the white papers, there's just a few visuals there. These are shorter articles, full-on white papers written by trade experts. And fairly recently, in the last few years, what we've done with them is we've evolved them into education materials for universities. And we've built out classroom discussion guides from the white papers that are also available to professors around the world for free to help supplement their teaching of global trade, global business, ethical business practices. We cover a wide range of areas, as you can see on the screen. These papers are available to be downloaded. These materials can be downloaded for free at heinrichfoundation.com in the under the education programs tab on our website. So those are some main ways that we are out there trying to move the dial on in terms of global trade. Something really exciting that we're working on that's going to launch in October is we have partnered with QS, who does the World University Ranking every year. You may be familiar with these rankings. We have commissioned a brand new ranking. They are helping us to identify the most effective global trade education master's programs on the planet. Our aim is to highlight the good work that these existing programs do. We want to also partner with them to provide scholarships for them and to help them build their programs to be even more effective in an ever-changing world. So that is going to launch in October 2022, and we're excited to leverage that to get more and more of these future trade leaders into these world-class programs by helping them know where they are and helping them foot the bill, especially if they're coming from, we've supported people in 22 countries, including Bangladesh, Myanmar, Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Peru. And in many cases, there are people who would not, like Mr. Heinrich, would not have had the opportunity to attend these programs without financial support. And his entire ethos, and I think Amy summed this up really well with part of what drives her, which is the paying it forward concept, which is what we're trying to do and Mr. Heinrich is trying to do. He would not have achieved what he achieved without the kindness of a stranger providing him an educational opportunity. And that is really a huge part of the backbone of what we do. In terms of our ask, it's actually pretty simple. I would love it if we are always trying to find passionate, qualified people who are interested in trade or communication around trade to apply for these programs that we already support. And once they get into those programs, apply for the scholarships so that we can not only help them financially, but then bring them into our growing network of trade leaders so they can add their passion, their energy, what they learn from these programs into this. We're trying to create this gestalt of, something better and stronger than the sum of all these amazing parts, which are smart humans who are trying to make the world better through trade. So our only ask is steer people to our website. If you know anyone who is interested in improving their trade education or getting involved in supply chain, global logistics, we've heard some of the challenges from some of the other NGOs that have spoken tonight. The last 2 years have shown a very interesting and terrifying light on our global supply chain and how fragile it is and how it needs to be improved and maintained. And we want to be one of the forces that develops that next generation of leaders who are going to be that much more prepared for whatever's coming down the pike to keep the supply chain going, not only in the realm of business trade, but to get any supplies from point A to point B, no matter how challenging point B might actually exist as in Ukraine. So we're not asking for money. We're asking for people, recommendations. If there's any way we can support any of you, please visit our website, reach out to me. I've put my e-card up via the chat box. I'll also put my email address on there. I love setting up video calls and chatting with people, and I'd love to learn more about what all of you are doing. And if there's any synergies on how we can help and support, especially in education, leadership development, trade leadership development in particular, please let me know. So thank you, Doug and Cesar, as always, for giving me a chance to talk tonight. And it's great to be part of the chamber and keep doing what everybody's doing. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for dialing in late in the evening. If you'd like to know more, go to the website. Also, I had the pleasure to interview Merle Heinrich in a podcast, and he went into deeper level in terms of his career and his life in trade. The school that he went to through his scholarship was Thunderbird School of Global Management. So that creates a nice bridge to our second to last speaker. And since we're a little bit over, we've got about 7-8 minutes. So we've got to try to cover two quick presentations. I know our last one was intended to be quick update anyway, but I'd ask for our next presentation to be about 5 minutes. We are doing an event with the next speaker, Citizens Climate Lobby on sustainability. One of the main P's that Stephen talked about, profit, people, and planet. A little bit more focused in on planet and how to control the amount of carbon in the community. Gretchen Reinhardt, are you going to be speaking today? And we really appreciate your long involvement with Global Chamber. And, you know, we are going to have a Grow Globally fair later this year at last, you know, COVID permitting, but it looks like we'll be able to do that. Thanks every year for being part of that pre-COVID. And thanks for all that you do. Tell us more about Citizens Climate Lobby, the event that we're doing on Wednesday at Thunderbird, and anything else to help you.
Well, thank you so much, Doug. I'm gonna do my best to stay in that 5 minutes. And let's see. So I'm gonna just start by introducing myself and sharing my personal moment of climate reckoning. So in 2006, I took my 2 young children on a month-long road trip so my husband could write his master's thesis. And we camped along our way in the West. I saw old friends and attended a faith community gathering. And there I spent a week learning about climate change. And I'd begun with a sense that our then in progress eco remodel was the kind of personal action needed for solving global climate challenges. And there I learned that the problem was more challenging and solving it would need tools beyond the individual scale. Took about 2 more states after that workshop, driving with my kids asleep in the backseat, that what I had learned finally reached my heart and had sunk in and really touched me to the bones. And at that point, it hit me that people like me, non-scientists, in my case, a conflict resolver, were deeply needed. And I, at that point, really faced the global scale of challenges. Things like war that we've been talking about today, that we're seeing in the world today. Water supply, food supply, human migration, climate challenges are what I am leaving to my children. And this is a global audience, and we all live somewhere, and no matter where you live, you'll have your own future climate realities. But here in Arizona, this is the data that speaks to me. Our reality is heat and its impacts like forest fire, water, agriculture, food supply. And I also personally don't like living here when our temperatures go over 110 degrees. That's when I try and be gone. So this is the local data that brings it home to me. 2020 had 53 days over 110 degrees. So climate change isn't in the future, it's present in my life today. Climate change became personal as a mother, as a professional in 2006. And at that point, I was convinced that an important part of the global solution would be putting a price on carbon and other greenhouse gas emissions. It took me till 2013 to find Citizens Climate Lobby and find the kinds of citizens pushing for the kind of legislation that I understood was needed. Doing that really energized me. It allowed me to join with others and share a common purpose of achieving a livable world for future generations. My personal sense of climate urgency has continued to increase since 2006, but the great news is that locally, the public's understanding of climate change and the need to address it effectively has also changed. In 2022, local people everywhere have begun to have personal experiences of a changing climate, and social scientists confirm that public opinion has changed. In Arizona, we've gone from 2013, when using the word climate change ended my conversations, sometimes abruptly, to now 72% of the Arizona population believes that global warming is happening. And for 64% of the public, that means they notice already that the weather is changing now. So to solve a problem, you first need to notice that you have one. And I believe the human awareness tipping point has been reached here in Arizona. Now that we understand there's a real challenge, what do we do about it? So yes, there are many individual actions that we can take, and there are additional actions that we can take as business owners to align our companies with the same kinds of individual choices, like riding our bikes or getting smart thermostats or electric vehicle fleets or flying less. All of these changes are important, just like my own family did our best to grow wisely by remodeling and investing in the home we already had, making it more efficient and sustainable. So the personal scale is helpful, but it isn't enough to address the scale of the problem. I believe that a climate solution lies almost within our grasp. Yes, there are important technological solutions ahead of us, but there's something that we have right here today, now. So what does it take? What do we already have? What gets us to the place where we can all play together? What do you think is missing from this picture? There are lots of good people in the last picture, but we don't see the music score. When it comes to climate change, the musical score is the climate policy that enables us all to be on the same page. So when I'm looking for good climate policy, I run it through these filters. Is it good for people? Is it good for the economy? Is it effective? Is it revenue neutral? And is it bipartisan? So what filters are important to you? What kind of a policy can you get behind? I believe that a carbon price is the mechanism for driving down carbon emissions. It is the policy that connects the world and each of us as individuals. It's the mechanism that puts the miracle of the market to work for a livable world for all of us. When we price pollution, we work together to quit polluting. And that's the tool we need to solve climate change challenges at a global scale. It's like running a three-legged race, but where we know that every single person on the planet needs to be on the same team. The bands that tie our efforts together use the market. They use a carbon price. So let's keep working from that orchestra metaphor. CCL is one team of arrangers in that global orchestra. It's composed of a lot of local teams, Arizona, East Valley, US, but we have 589 active chapters globally, and they're organized by region. We can go into all of that. You can find it on our website. But we're also organized by areas of expertise, say business communities, and other kinds of communities like faith communities. We can play the climate concerto together. So what's your instrument? Who is your we the people? I want to leave you with these we the people teams in CCL. Especially want to highlight that we have business climate leaders, which you can learn more about at businessclimate-leaders.org, and Citizens Climate International, where you go to citizensclimate.earth to learn more. And that's what I know. We've got people who know far more about the CCL International with us, but we probably don't have time to cover that. So let me quit sharing. Let me see. Oh, here it is. There we go.
Introduce anybody who's part of CCL.
Yeah, if he is still on, I did see we had our executive director for CCI, Citizens Climate International. But Joe, there he is. Go ahead. This is Joe Robertson. And would you like to say a little bit more?
I would just say thank you, Gretchen. That was excellent. I don't want to take too much time because I know we're at the hour here, but just to build on what Gretchen said, we're now doing the kind of work she has talked about in 76 countries across 6 continents. People everywhere are hungry to be involved in shaping a resilient climate future, and even working towards things like climate smart trade is becoming part of our international work. Just thank you everybody for organizing this day and for welcoming us.
Fantastic. Where are you located?
I am located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have a team, a core team across several continents, and like I said, our overall team is spread around the world.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Gretchen, any last words?
Thank you so much. And yes, we do have a presentation coming up on the 20th. It is on the Global Chamber's calendar. And that should be a really very interesting panel. And we'll have En-ROADS as part of that, which has a simulation of what does it take to get to below 2 degrees. So that should be a really fantastic program, and I hope people will join that as well.
Lower carbon, and part of that presentation will be John Cook, who's a member of Global Chamber in Zurich, who is going to be talking about blue and green ammonia, which as a chemical engineer, I started in a place called Beaumont, Texas, right next to an ammonia plant for the DuPont company. I was I'm an engineer in another area, and it creates the traditional product of ammonia, creates a lot of carbon dioxide in the process, the Haldor-Topsoe process. And we're going to be talking about how not to pour lots of carbon into the environment with better ammonia. Ammonia is a key element, a key component of the future of energy, because ammonia could be a liquid that's transported to produce hydrogen that will drive vehicles and homes and others as a clean energy, hydrogen burning off as water. So instead of what we have today. So thank you, Gretchen. Thank you both for joining us today and sharing more. Our last comment will be from Michael. Is it Michael Lee from Innovation Minds? Innovation is actually a key element for the next week. It's Creativity and Innovation Week. And this is, we actually kicked it off yesterday with an innovation around e-commerce in Japan and China and around the world at our Global Chamber Tel Aviv meetup yesterday. And for the next week, we have a variety of different innovation themes. And so it's very appropriate, Michael, that you're going to be telling us a little bit about the $1 million grant eligible for NGOs, I believe. Are you still available to close us up?
Yeah, and I'll try to be as quick as possible. Let me start by saying two things that first thing will keep people on the call for a couple of minutes is that we're giving away $1 million. The second thing that might just clarify that is it's not money. We at Innovation Minds are a combination of a software product to manage innovation, employee engagement, and productivity using integrated system. We're also connected to, both internally and externally, a large network of facilitators around innovation and employee engagement worldwide. I'm in South Africa right now. It's just turning evening here. Innovation Minds is based in Silicon Valley, and our sales team is headquartered in Ecuador, so we're all over the place. But essentially, we have decided this year to give away $50,000 to 20 different organizations in services and products. So basically, the structure of it is we set up a 2-month-long innovation sprint around something in the organization that needs to be revised, whether it's policies, whether it's product, whether it's communication systems, whether it's dealing with hybrid work in the new environment, or whatever it is. And we will then provide the software and the facilitation and advising to help you go through that process and come up with new ways of working or new ideas or whatever it is that the focus is. It's, as I said, it's worth $50,000, and we're not charging anything for it. I am, by the way, the sort of marketing and strategy consultant in Innovation Minds. I'm also an innovation and creativity coach and consultant privately. So this is a big week for me. We also had a kickoff last night with the World Creativity and Innovation Week people that run that, and they are actually going to be helping us announce the winners of this. It's not really a competition, but the selected organizations. So on World Creativity Day, which is the 21st, let me just quickly share the screen here just to show you.
In terms of companies that should be interested, who are they and how do they get involved?
Yeah, so I've already put into the chat a link where you can click on that and read all about exactly how this works. And the deadline is the 19th, which is next Tuesday. So it's very, very inconvenient if you're planning to go away for the Easter weekend. But it's a very easy application. It really is just to announce that you're interested, and then the kind of companies that this will work for, companies of a little bit, it shouldn't be 5 people, need between 30 people and then any size up from there. But I think, as an example, I think as an example, I think, Larry, your company, for example, sounds like one that would be particularly well able to use this well, being in different countries and having what sounds like a fairly large group of people involved. You know, everybody has just been amazing what you've shared. And, you know, we are not a nonprofit organization. And whenever I'm in a room with people that are doing all these things that you guys are doing, I'm just blown away by the commitment and the importance of your work. So if there's any organization here that can benefit from this, please just go to that link, have a look at it. I've left my email address there as well. And, you know, if you need any support on this, our sales team can talk to you and help you get this done. That's all they're focusing on until after World Creativity Day, so that we can find the right organizations. Still, you know, still a few slots that definitely are not going to be given away yet because of we know who's applied. So there are definitely slots. So if anybody here has any questions quickly, please ask them right away. Otherwise, I think all you need to do is go look at that page on the link, and feel free to drop an email if you have questions after this.
Thank you, Michael. Innovation is a member, longtime member out of the Bay Area in Silicon Valley, where I happen to be right now. And I've noticed that there are quite a number of their team that are around the world, Michael in South Africa, and I know our main contact now is in Latin America, I think Paraguay or Uruguay, somewhere. And so congratulations on the global innovation and tying into the World Creativity and Innovation Week. As we have a number of other events coming up, including the one we mentioned at our new home at Thunderbird. It's our 5th event at Thunderbird on the 20th. Around carbon tax and what that means, including some of the innovative technologies that are coming out of the basically carbon being taxed. So what are some of the alternatives, including hydrogen and the ammonia I talked about. We also have a variety of other events around innovation. So check out the newsletter that's coming out this week, coming up on Sunday night in the Americas and on Monday morning in most of the world, with a variety of different activities. I really appreciate all of you taking the time today and also hanging on. We normally don't go over, but we did a little bit, and I appreciate the fact that almost everybody, I think maybe everybody, stayed on and hung on for the additional comments by some really great organizations, some great speakers. I encourage all of you to connect up, search online, find out more about each one, and find ways to help either through donations or certainly on the time sensitive one, Michael, there's a clock ticking between now and Tuesday to get involved. And so check that information out immediately and see if that's a fit for you or somebody that you know. Before we end,
yeah, if there's somebody outside of your organization, but you know of organizations that would benefit, absolutely, please do that. Yeah.
That would be great. Before we end, I'd like to forward to Cesar Trabanco, who is the man behind the curtain who makes all of this possible. And Cesar, what any comments about today's conversation and anything else we should be thinking about for this Holy Weekend and for next week?
Sure, thanks, Doug, and thanks everyone. I really want to thank the speakers for being diligent, being responded to my emails, and I think it was a really good call. And any of you, if you have more information to share, like materials or videos, send it over. I'm going to be sending a follow-up email probably next week. And I would like to invite you all to join us for the Virtual League of Opportunities next Friday at the same time. So we're going to be sharing that as well. Thanks again, everyone, and enjoy your weekend. For those celebrating Easter, happy Easter, and let's keep in touch. Thanks.
Yeah, happy Passover towards the end of Ramadan, and then a happy Easter this Sunday, and then also for those of us that are Orthodox, a week from Sunday. So it's quite a busy week, next 10 days of events, of activities, and hopefully introspection for your business and the world. I love what Stephen talked about, the profit, people, and planet, keeping that in mind throughout these next 10 days on how you can make a difference, as these folks all are making a difference today. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Be global and unstoppable.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Happy holidays.